Good afternoon. Thank you, everyone, for being here. We're going to get started at 3 o'clock, so just stand by. Thank you so much for being here. We'll be back in just a moment or two. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on today's webinar. We're going to get started in just a moment. Let's give another minute for some people to log on, and then we will be on our way and get this webinar underway. So just bear with us just another few minutes, or just another minute or so, and then we'll get started. Thank you. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this webinar. This is the USCA ASPEC Submissions webinar, and today we're going to go over the ASPEC submission process for the United States Conference on AIDS, and hopefully you'll find some benefits from being on this webinar and have some things to refer back to so that you are able to successfully submit a great abstract. So I want to introduce myself. I'm Allison McKeithen, the conference manager. And on this webinar today, we have Joanna Lopez, our associate program manager, and Dustin Baker, our program coordinator. Before we begin and talk about the agenda, I just want to go over a few housekeeping notes. So feel free to ask any questions that you have. We have a chat box function over to the right. You'll see it says chat. You want to click in there. You can enter your questions, and towards the end of the webinar, we'll have a portion where we will be able to answer your questions at that time. And if we're not able to answer your questions during this webinar, we will post questions into the webinar section after this webinar, or we'll answer questions to you directly. Another note is that this webinar is being recorded, and it will be posted on our USCA website by the end of this week. So you can go back and refer back to this webinar later. So don't feel like you have to grab every single note now. So you have plenty of opportunities to watch it before our abstract submission deadline. So for today's webinar, we're going to start by covering our tracks, topics that we have for this year. Then we're going to go over the types of abstract submissions. We're going to talk about how to submit an abstract. We'll give you a few tips to help you with that process of writing. We'll talk about the abstract review process. And then again, towards the end, we'll answer your questions. Let me throw it over to my colleague, Joanna.
Thanks, Allison. So before we get started and move into the presentation, we're going to do a quick poll. So it will be helpful for us to see who submitted an abstract to USCA before. So if you have, please select one of the following: yes, and it was accepted; yes, and it was not accepted; and no, if you've never submitted an abstract before. So we'll give everyone a few moments to respond to the question. Okay, so it looks like the majority of you have not submitted an abstract to USCA before. So hopefully this webinar will be really helpful for you guys and help you submit your abstract in the future.
Hold on a moment, it got kicked out.
No problem. Okay, so here are the following tracks we have that we are accepting and reviewing abstracts for. These tracks were deemed important topics to frame the education for the conference. Deciding which track is appropriate for your abstract is crucial to success and selection. You can find the full track descriptions on the USCA website at 2019usca.org on the Abstracts tab. USCA programming will cover the gamut of issues affecting the HIV community and will have sessions targeting specific populations within the community. We offer a lot of programming throughout the pathways that are curated by subject matter experts. The pathways will cover race topics, trans topics, and other specific topics that are not offered under the track. You may find that your area of expertise or desired abstract does not fit into the track. It is best that you pick the track that most closely relates to your abstract topic and don't force your abstract to fit in a track that does not belong. This may result in a low score because it simply does not adhere to the track's goals and objectives. We will go over the abstract scoring rubric later on during this presentation. Again, these track topics are just ones that are subjected to the abstract review process, but there are other topics that the conference will cover through a curated process. We offer a variety of pathways for different populations, so although the tracks may not cover an area of your interest, we are confident that the curated sessions will. Next slide, please. So now we will get to the online abstract submission system. So to get to this page, go to 2019usca.org and click on the Abstract tab. This tab will open to the Abstract Management System. The submission deadline for all abstracts is April 5th at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Next slide, please. So this is how the abstract page looks like on the USCA website. If you scroll all the way down, you will see a Submit Now button. When you click on that link, it takes you to the following page. Here you will see the 3 steps needed to complete an abstract. So step 1 is the primary presenter information. Step 2 is the co-presenter information. And step 3 is the session information. We also have the deadline highlighted a couple of times on this page. Next slide, okay. So here's a close-up of the 3-step submission process. Each one of these sections will need to be completed in order to submit your application. Next slide. So now that you know the 3 steps are, we can begin the submission process by entering your email address and clicking Submit. Please make sure you use an email address that you check regularly. The email address you use will receive an acknowledgement email stating thank you for creating an account as a presenter. Keep this email for your records. It contains the ID number of your abstract, which is useful if you need to log out and resume your abstract submission later. Next slide, please. So this is step 1. This information is about the primary author or presenter. We are using Michelle Obama as an example here. Here we collect the standard contact information. Most of that information is required so that we have enough information to contact you if necessary. Those items that are required for you to be able to submit your abstract are marked by red asterisks. One important requirement is that you submit your bio, CV, or resume as an attachment. The easiest files to upload are PDFs or Word documents. We require this information so that the abstract reviewers can get to know more about you and to expedite the CEU application process if your abstract is accepted. Next slide, please. We are also collecting demographic information. This information is not required, but it's helpful for us to make sure we have a diverse representation of presenters. Next slide. So once you are finished entering all of the required information, make sure to click Save. Next slide. You will return to the main dashboard where you can select Add Co-Presenter to enter those people who are either co-authors on the abstract or those people who will co-present with you if your abstract is accepted. You will also notice that the Submit button is grayed out because you have not completed all of the required fields. You will only be able to submit once every required field is filled out. Next slide. This is the co-presenter information portion. We are using Cardi B Party as our example here. So once you add a person and their required information, click Save. If you have more than one person, once you return to the dashboard, you will see the name of the person you just added and the Add Co-Presenter option if you need to include more presenters or authors. Repeat the Add Co-Presenter process until you have entered everyone. And make sure to save as well. So now we'll hand it over to Allison to explain the final step in the submission process.
Thank you, Joanna. So now that you've entered in yourself, if you're the primary presenter or author, and your co-presenters, now you can move on to step 3, where you put the most information about your abstract. This is your session information. The first thing that's asked for and is required is to select your presentation track. So these are the tracks that were mentioned earlier by Joanna, and they're also located on our website. Once you read through those track descriptions, please select the one track that best fits the abstract you are submitting. Next, we ask you for your presentation type. USCA has 2 presentation types. One is our workshop format. The other is our poster presentation format. The poster presentation, you can see in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. It's a 4x8 poster, and it's really great for scientific abstracts. It allows the attendee to look at your information, really soak it in. And we also have our presenters stand there at 2 different times for 30 minutes to be available for any questions that the attendees may have. So it's a great way to disseminate information on a scientific project that you may have done, or if you just have a lot of information about a program that you worked on. And our workshop format is a 90-minute presentation format where one person or a panel of people speak to a larger group of people. We look between 100 to 150 people to attend those sessions. And this is where we have dialogues, and this is where we do a lot of learning. We teach the people about your particular topic. You'll give them activities to do. You'll want to really describe and explain the topic to them and allow them an opportunity to kind of converse with you about that particular topic. Next, we ask for the presentation title. We have a 10-word limit. We ask that your title be accurate, clear, and grab attention. Our example title is Throw Away Your Recycled Grant Application, Strategies for Writing Successful Grants. One is 10 words. It's very accurate. You'll be talking about grant writing. It's very clear you're talking about grant writing, and it grabs attention. So throw away your recycled grant applications. Kind of lets you know that, you can do something new. You're going to learn something new, and it kind of grabs your eye, and it's a little interesting. So think about that when you're writing your titles. You want to make sure that it's accurate and interesting. Then we move on to the presentation level. You will select your presentation level based on your expected audience's level of understanding. So if the presentation you're presenting is on a very basic level and you expect that the people who can attend your session can be of a beginner level, so you want to select beginner. If they need to have some experience in a particular area, say if they need experience in grant writing for this example, and that's the only way that they'll really be able to follow the information that you're giving them, then you want to write that they either need to be intermediate or advanced. So again, you want to select this based on your audience. Now is the time when you select your abstract format. This really should be thought about before you even write your abstract and decide which format best fits what you're working on. We have two formats. Format one is for abstracts that are concerning a specific program, project, or study. For the description, you would describe the purpose of the program, project, or study. For the methods, you want to briefly describe the methods or strategies used in that program. Then you would move on to describing the objective outcomes of the program, study, or project. And you want to give some quantifiable data, something that can really prove and show that this is something that's been effective. And number 4, for your conclusions, you want to state the conclusions that were reached as a result of your program. For format 2, it's for abstracts addressing broader issue area, problems, and community needs. For the description, you will write, you would identify the topic proposed in the presentation. For issues, you want to write the specific issues or problems that will be discussed or teach during your session. For learning objectives, you want to describe what the audience will learn from the presentation. And for your methods, strategies, models, and examples, you want to provide information about the teaching or discussion strategies you will use during that presentation to educate those attendees. So let's move on to an example of a workshop description. So the tips we want to offer are to keep it to 150 word limit, make sure your topic is clearly explained, don't over elaborate, keep it interesting and relevant, consider this an advertisement for your abstract, because oftentimes we use this description in our program materials. So if selected, it would go into our program book, it would go onto our app. So you want to make sure it's very clear and it's telling people exactly what they're going to get. And also, this is what attendees will read when they get the information about your presentation. Like I said before, we'll put it on our website and in our app if you're accepted. So for example, let's read the abstract, the example beside to the right. I'm not going to read that aloud. I'm going to give you just a moment to kind of read through it yourselves, and then we'll discuss. Great. So the first thing I want to point out about this example is it's 112 words. They were able to keep it within our 150 word limit. Next, you'll notice in that first paragraph, they really lay out what this is about. You're talking about CDC's high impact prevention strategies and how it changed the landscape for nonprofit agencies. Very clear, very direct. And so then they go into what the issues are and what they're going to do and what they're going to discuss during their presentation and what you can learn during a presentation. So it's very well written and very clear. They identify the issues and the concerns that you should be interested in, and that's why you should come to learn about this grant writing. Next, we'll move into the methods and issues. This section does not have a word limit, but we recommend keeping it relevant to your topic. You want to explain why your topic is relevant and what is the issue you are addressing. I'm just going to give you a moment to read the example, and then we'll go through it. So what I want to point out here is that this writer starts off talking about this seminar will present a brief history of major CDC prevention strategy changes and the impact on funded prevention programs in the U.S. Very clear, very direct. From there, you get some more information about the RFAs and how it's affected the expectations for CBOs and ASOs. Finally, towards the end, you'll see that I highlighted some just keywords and things that will really grab the attention of the reviewers. And it says, though this workshop is open for grant writers of any experience level, most of the activities will presume intermediate grant writing experience or higher. So this is assuming that people who already have grant writing experience will probably get the most from this. Someone who's on a beginner level might not reap the benefits as much as someone who already has an intermediate or higher grant writing experience. And that's very important. Next, we're going to talk about the learning and results, learning objectives and results. Then we'll go into the conclusion, strategies, methods, models, and examples. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to use the chat area to type in your questions, and we'll address those questions towards the end of the webinar. For your results and learning objectives, we don't have a word limit, but we do recommend that you write what skills would you like the attendees of your workshop to have by the end. In this example, the writer is very clear that the participants will be able to, and then they list four points of what each person should be able to understand, know, or do by the end. There's no guessing game. It's very clear. It's very direct. So we want to encourage you to learn from this example and just say, these are the things that they're going to be able to learn. It takes the guessing game out of the reviewers trying to assume what you as a writer intend for the attendees to get from your presentation. And then the last written part is the conclusions and strategies. Here's where you want to write out how you plan to educate your attendees, or what is the plan for them to actually meet the objectives you previously mentioned. What is your strategy? So how are you teaching your attendees? In this example, the first sentence says it's a hands-on session. And it tells you that the attendees will review actual grant narrative samples. So it's giving them an education on what things have been done before, and then likely they'll go through how they can improve it, how they can make it better, and learn better strategies on writing their particular grants. I'm using this as an example. I don't write grants. I'm just giving suggestions. But from a reviewer standpoint, it's very clear that they plan on giving the attendees activities and workshop type things to help them learn about grant writing. So you want to make sure whatever you present also does those same things. It's very clear how you're educating them and what they're going to learn. So that is the end of the most content-heavy portions of your abstract submission. After you write that, you'll see that there's an abstract supporting documents section where you can upload a file. We encourage you to use this space if there's any supporting documentation, maybe a graph, if there are any images that help drive home what you're talking about in your abstract, so that the abstract reviewers have a better idea of what your intentions are, especially if it's research-based. This might be a perfect place for you to upload a graphic or some scientific data that didn't have a proper place in the narrative portion. And this abstract file upload best supports things that are submitted in a Word format or in a PDF format, and really PDF is preferred. It keeps things from being skewed and messed up, and then we don't have as many problems trying to decipher what your intentions were. So my recommendation is to upload in PDF format. So once you upload your document, you'll see next that you have to answer whether or not this topic was presented at any other conference. You have to select yes or no. And if you select yes, we ask that you let us know when this was presented and at what conference. Then you'll be able to click save to submit your abstract. Well, to save this particular portion of your abstract. And that'll take you back to your abstract submission dashboard. So what you'll notice is something that Joanna pointed out earlier. Your submit button is not highlighted for you to be able to submit your abstract. This is because if you notice, there's still asterisks beside your step 1 and your step 3. If you see this, you must go back to step 1 and to step 3 to complete whichever portions were not previously done. Once you complete and fill in those particular areas, the asterisks will go away. Now your submit button is ready for you to submit your abstract. All right, so we've gone through the whole abstract process. We've shown you how to fill out this application, and we've given you so much information. So now we want to know, what have you captured? What do you know? So let's do a poll. What is the abstract submission deadline? Is it April 1st, April 5th, May 5th, or April 10th? So just take a moment, complete the poll, see what you guys have learned so far. I believe in all of you. All right, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's close the poll and see what the results are. April 5th, great. So you guys are off to a great start, off to a fantastic start. I see some people put April 1st, April 10th, May 5th. It is absolutely April 5th. Everyone, please submit by April 5th. And that's April 5th, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Okay? All right. Now I'm going to throw it to my colleague to talk about the reviews a little bit.
Thank you. So let's review. Next slide. Your review process: April 5th, submission deadline. April 8th through May 10th, track review committee score and will evaluate. May 13th, track committee recommendation submitted. May 16th, program committee meeting. May 17th through the 24th, program finalized. And May 31st, abstract notification letters will be sent out.
Thank you, Dustin.
Okay, so you all may be wondering who serves on the track review committee. So the track committee consists of a variety of subject matter experts and professionals who have been in the field for years. So these are some of our program partners that are also involved in the track review committee. These partners include NMAC's Constitute Advisory Panel, the Black AIDS Institute, and the Balm in Gilead. Next slide, please.
So I'm sure you're all wondering, how are your abstracts scored? And we're just going to give you a little bit of the insight so you can understand what you're going to be evaluated on, so you can write this in a way that's going to really score well and be reviewed well. So first, we have a question about how interactive your abstract is. We have a yes or no question about that. We have 5 scaled questions. Those are scored on a scale from 1 to 4, and your maximum score that you can achieve is a 20. The questions we ask, and these are exactly the questions that go to our review committee. How does the abstract indicate the session? Does the abstract indicate the session is interactive? Yes or no? How closely does the abstract reflect the track's description and objectives? How relevant or appropriate is the abstract's topic? How cutting edge is the topic? How essential is the topic? And how would you rate the overall clarity of this abstract? So all of our track committees get the abstracts, they review them, they score them. Then we have our recommendations from our track committee, and then all of our partners meet. And that's that May 16th date. They'll all meet on that day. They'll review the recommendations, they'll go through the program, and what they're looking for is to make sure that the curriculum is robust, that it has everything that it needs to give all of our attendees the most well-rounded education that to go out there and do their best job to end the epidemic. So it's a really big task, but they do meet, and this is why having all the information that we can about you and making sure that your topics are very well written and clearly stated is so important. So now we have a few tips for success. So first, we want to just go back over a few things we've mentioned before. First, we want you to select a clear topic or focus. Make sure the topic aligns with the track's goals and objectives. Make sure you write your abstract before you put it in the abstract system. We recommend Word. It's a great place so you can edit it. Make sure you spell check and proofread. We recommend that you fully write out your acronyms before you use them. Some people may not know what your particular acronym means, and you know our industry has thousands of them. We just want to make sure that we're relating the right acronym to your abstract. Also, check for proper use of grammar. Eliminate ambiguous language. It might be hard to do, but sometimes some things you write just may not really relate to your abstract topic. You don't want to get the abstract reviewer misguided or off on a tangent with reviewing your abstract because there's something that just doesn't speak to your topic in there. Also, we recommend asking a colleague to read your abstract. And when writing objectives, keep them to what you want the attendee to learn from attending your workshop or poster session. So now, you submitted your abstract successfully. We've gone through our review process. We will not send out any notifications about whether or not your abstract has been accepted until May 31st or after. So again, these are your important deadlines. You have to submit your abstract by April 5th, and then we'll send out all decisions on or after May 31st. So now I just want to open it up if anyone has any questions about the submission process, any other information that we've submitted or reviewed today. We'd just like to give you an opportunity to ask us directly. I know it's a lot of information, especially for a number of you who have not submitted abstracts to USCA before. We want to make sure that you have the best opportunity possible and you have the most success with this process, because we'd love to see, especially if you've never submitted before, just some new faces and new presenters. And so we're really excited that you all are here and want to submit an abstract.
One question, Allison.
Yes.
Do you need to have your co-presenters confirmed by the April 5th deadline?
No, you don't. If you happen to know who they are, that's great. But after you're accepted, we do send out a letter and we ask you to confirm who is going to be your presenter at that time, your co-presenters at that time. So you have an opportunity in case someone's not available for USCA, you can switch them out or add someone new to the panel that's needed.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Again, our chat box to the right has is where you can submit your questions. Chip, was that you?
Yes, that was me. We do have one question so far. Is there a maximum number of abstracts that can be submitted from one organization?
There is not a maximum number of abstracts. I would recommend that your organization not submit more than 4 or 5. The reason why is because, say your abstracts are great, there's a high probability that they'll be scheduled at the same time. It's really hard a lot of people, have difficulty with their schedules when multiple people from the organizations present at the same time. So I would say no more than 4 abstract submissions. I mean, because if they're accepted, it's just going to be a real difficult time to schedule.
Hi, Allison. We have another question here.
All righty.
If my topic represents multiple tracks, would the committee find the best track for that abstract, or should I decide ahead of time, or would that hurt my submission qualifications?
I recommend that you decide which track your abstract best fits in. We understand that a lot of topics cross a number of populations and topics. We know that there's a lot of intersectionality with a lot of these topics, but we're asking you as a submitter to decide what is the best one. Because really what you want to do is make sure that the people who understand that topic best are reviewing your abstract. So please make that decision before you submit which track committee and which track topic is the best for your abstract. And I think that also lends to the clarity of your abstract. Make sure that you're very clear with the intention of your abstract, and that is very clear that you're addressing one particular topic. The more you try to discuss too many topics, and it gets confusing for the reviewers, and a lot of times they'll score it low. They're like, they don't meet the objectives or the goals of this particular track. So you want to be very careful about trying to submit, this one big, huge, overarching abstract. Be very specific about your topic. And also only submit your abstract once. Please don't submit the same abstract to multiple tracks. It will get removed multiple times from those tracks. And it also takes it out of your hands. We don't decide which one it best goes in. We just remove the abstract. So I still see a lot of people here. You know, I'm glad that you're on. I'm hoping that you're getting all the information that you need. And again, I want to encourage you all to ask your questions. And if you're not comfortable asking your questions here, please submit your questions to conferences@nmac.org. After the webinar, I'll be able to address those questions. My name's Allison, so you can direct them towards me, and I'll respond to them as best possible. Please don't wait to the deadline to ask your questions. Please don't wait to the deadline to submit your abstracts. A lot of times we get heavy traffic on that last day, April 4th and April 5th, and that system just goes haywire. I do believe our abstract system is one of those things, like anything that can go wrong will go wrong at the last minute. So please make sure you submit your abstracts early.
Hey, Allison, we had one other question.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, there's one more. Yeah, I'm sorry. We had one question about someone who missed the first part of the webinar, wonder if there will be a recording. I just want to reemphasize that the recording will be available on the USCA website by the end of the week.
Thank you for your question. Yes, so they can go back to the USCA abstract page at the end of the week and see it.
And we have another question. What is the email address for future questions?
It's conferences with an S, conferences@nmac.org. So that's conferences@nmac.org. And you'll also see that I have another couple slides after this that also have that information, and you'll be able to submit, so you can have it written out for you. It's on our USCA website as well. You're always able to reach me through that email. If there are no other questions, I want to again say thank you, everyone, for being here with us and listening to our presentation. We're really excited about the number of people who signed up and are interested in getting this information. We hope that we provided you with the information you need to write your best abstract, and I'm always here to support you in your writing process and make sure that you find success with this process. So please reach out. Again, if you have questions that you didn't get to ask, you can email me at conferences@nmac.org. And as Chip just stated, this webinar will be posted on our 2019 USCA website. You can go back there to reference this and go back and make all the special notes that you need. And at the conclusion of this, we'll have an evaluation of this webinar. Please complete that. Let us know how we can do better and be better and, you know, be a service to you, because that's what we're here for. So again, thank you so much, everyone. Have a great afternoon, and I look forward to seeing your abstracts. Take care. Bye-bye.